Chapter 9. Just deserts and deeper plots, and deadly danger looming lots. Bernice and the others had walked silently beside the prince and his cohorts all the way to the castle. Messengers weren't important to the plot of a panto, so they didn't get much in the way of dialogue. When they arrived, however, and had left the prince's retinue, Bernice left the others to get some food, and made her way straight to the door of the king's chamber. "Boy," she told herself, "I'm a boy." Right. Then she knocked and entered. The king was standing by the wall, his hands behind his back, examining an illustrated family tree that hung over his fireplace. He turned and glanced at her rather crossly. "What ails you, boy? Go get you hence. If you go, I'll give you 20 pence. Bernice frowned, interested in the family tree, which, she could see rather alarmingly, still had a picture of her on it, as a princess. She stumbled to formulate a reply that might fit in with one of the plots of Panto, and lead her to the vizier. "Hello, your highness. I'm an Arab, from the land of sand and scarab. I've come to work here, talking courtly, for a master thin or portly." She had an idea, and restraining the urge to slap her thigh, turned to the wall behind which the audience was hidden, and put her hand to her mouth, as if she could whisper to them without the king hearing. "Maybe this way I'll get to see the princess that I love, and steal her away from under the gaze of that evil vizier." The king pondered for a moment, looking Bernice up and down. It gave her the chance to hop forward and take a long look at the illustrated genealogy. The king had 3 daughters and 1 son, as represented on this chart. There was Marian, pictured in a Lincoln green outfit and a little hat with a feather in it. Somebody had rather angrily and hastily cut from the painting behind her. There was Aurora, painted asleep, her head on a pillow. There was Charming, teeth gleaming. And there was Bernice in courtly garb. She had now become, according to this story, the boy who had arrived to sweep herself off her own feet. Very masturbatory. Looking at them like this, Bernice's suspicions solidified. These were definitely all members of the ship's crew. The king was definitely the captain. Marian was possibly one of the senior officers. She certainly remembered her in uniform. And Prince Charming had the look of a spacefarer about him too. She thought that she'd seen him about in uniform. What had Aurora's position been? The king made up his mind. "Enough with all dramatic padding. What's your name, my boy?" "Aladdin." "We'll go and find my aide the vizier. He'll fill your head with tasks much dizzier. Go down the steps, take second right, and I'll have cook send some broth tonight." Bernice smiled at him. "My king is just, my king is kind. That magic person I'll now find. Your poetry does fair astound me. That vizier rhyme always confounds me." And with a bow and a bit of a headache, she left. The vizier of the realm rubbed his fingers together in glee as he stood over his magic cauldron in his dank dungeon deep in the bowels of the castle. He was delighting, as he always did, in the sibilant sounds that wafted around whatever room he was in. The noise of hissing, and the occasional loud boo, were music to his ears. Now he looked deep into the depths of the cauldron and intoned, "Paratha, Alusag, Peshawari Nan." "Are you summoning a great demon, master?" asked the spirit of the cauldron, its eerie voice echoing around the slimy walls. "No, ye great fool, I'm ordering a curry." There was a bubbling noise from within the cauldron, and a puff of green smoke rose from the surface of the magical waters as a face formed there. This caused an ooh, which the vizier liked even more than a boo, because, while a boo indicated that he was being evil, and ooh meant that he was being spectacular with it. He wafted the smoke away and wrinkled his nose, then shouted down into the cauldron, "Better make it a mild one, then." He glanced over his shoulder and saw the subject of one of his plots hesitantly descending down the stairs. He rubbed his hands together in glee. "Aha, the one I seek, the boy Aladdin. I should have ordered an extra portion of rice." Bernice had found the cellars of the castle quite easily, but had had trouble finding just which of the many cavernous magical workshops and dungeons was actually the one she was after. They really ought to have produced some kind of directory. When she'd found the one she wanted, she'd tiptoed down the stairs, hoping to catch the vizier unawares. But he'd seen her as soon as she'd entered. Now he ran over to her and swept down into a regal bow. "Ah, Aladdin, my favourite boy. May the bounties of the heavens rain down upon your lands." Bernice bowed back. "And on yours. May the wealth of all nations be carried in your barges." "And in yours." "May the goodness of the oceans flow up your rivers." Bernice looked up. Let's get down to business, shall we?" The vizier grinned a vast, toothy grin and wrinkled his nose at her. "Stop messing about." A moment later he was serious once more. "It is as well you have found me, dear Aladdin, for I have a small favour to ask of you. It's a minor task, but the reward will be whopping great riches." Bernice tapped her chin. "Let me guess. You want me to go down into a cave somewhere and get a dirty old lamp for you?" The vizier looked downcast. "How do you know?" "Yes, that's exactly it. What do you think?" Bernice had been watching the way the man moved. Unlike everybody else she had met in this weird place, both the vizier and her fairy godfather were strangely animated. Literally so. It was as if they were advanced animations, distinguishable from people only in that they were stylized. She reached out a hand and touched the vizier's robe. He was solid enough. She decided to try something. "Let me guess. You want me to go down into a cave somewhere and get a dirty old lamp for you," she repeated. The vizier looked downcast in exactly the same way. "How do you know?" "Yes, that's exactly it. What do you think?" Bernice uttered her phrase a third time, and his response was again exactly the same. A slow smile spread across her features. She felt like she was getting the hang of panto now. "Let me ask you something first," she replied. "You can do magic, correct?" "It's a kind of magic," the vizier began. Bernice stopped him. No, I haven't got time for the musical version. Can you or can you not perform feats beyond the bounds of the physical sciences?" "Yes," he nodded eagerly. Bernice considered her next move carefully. He might, therefore, be able to get them all out of this strange place. But she had to find the right pantomime way to make him do it. That, for the moment, eluded her. She still didn't have enough information. There was only one way to learn more. "Then I'm your man," she told him. "Where do I find this lamp?" "I've got a map." The vizier grinned and scuttled off to find it. He glanced back at her over his shoulder. "It's going to be a great adventure." "A great adventure?" Bernice shrugged. In the world of pantomime, it was more likely going to be something like